to the right part of that range of value. All right, any other questions? Then let's get ready for then our second visit by going back to our office. When you think about that chart that I showed you in the beginning, the first step was the walkthrough. The second step is back at your office, doing your research, putting together your listing presentation. So what you need, of course, to have with you is your Getting to Know You booklet and the photos of the home that you took. And then what you're going to be doing is completing your price trend analysis, your market analysis. That's what we're going to do right now. And create the customized pages for your doors portfolio. That's your listing presentation. Now, in most offices, there is one person who puts together the doors. They have the template to do it. Ask your broker how that works in your office. You give them the photographs. They then customize those pages for you so that when you go out, it's customized for the subject property. And then you want to organize your materials and rehearse a little bit. Think about what they told you. Think about what they said. Did they tell you a price that they wanted and maybe didn't even ask you? They just said, well, you know, we're going to ask $215 for the house. So they're telling you what they're going to ask. Is that wrong? Is that the wrong price? How are you going to overcome that? In other words, think about what you're going to say to get them into the right price range. Think about how they related to you in the walkthrough. Do they seem to be easy to work with or very hard-nosed? And then I want you to, in your mind, think about what you're going to say, how you're going to handle this. So rehearse. You might even want to give your presentation to someone else, like a role play. Now the doors looks like this, except it's much, much bigger. The doors is a big portfolio, and inside, you can see there at the bottom of your screen, there are photographs of a home, interior and exterior of a home. And that is the subject property. That's the photograph that you took. They're going to be incorporated into your presentation. We're in step 2. We're back at our office. Here's what we need to do. We need to, and we're on page 11, number 1, put together our price trend analysis. Number 2, create the custom pages. And number 3, rehearse and organize our materials. So, I've already told you how to create the custom pages. But what about the price trend analysis? Let's do that. First of all, we need to understand that most people do have a price in mind for their home. It may be wrong, but they have a price in mind. Where did they get it? Probably from hearsay. The neighbor said that the neighbor said that the neighbor said. The neighbor down the street said that the neighbor across the street said that the neighbor up the street said that the neighbor next door to them got $119 for their home. But what they don't know is that that was way less than they had it listed for, and they came down a couple of times. Or what they don't know is that was the list price, and that's not what it sold for. It actually sold for $98. So a lot of times it's hearsay. The other way that sellers decide a price is what they need or what they want for their home. And that's not the way to price the home. That's not the way appraisers are going to appraise the home. Oh, the guy needs $1 million for his $200,000 home. Let's give it to him. That's not the way it works. So the way it works, the key to pricing is based on facts, not opinions. This is page 12 at the bottom. Facts, not let's do it. Let's talk about appraisal methods and then put together a price trend analysis. Traditional appraisal methods are the cost approach to value, the income approach to value, and the market data approach. That's your fill in the blank, number 1, 2, 3, top of page 13. Cost approach to value is used by appraisers, and it's used on custom homes, unique properties, not your typical tract homes or subdivisions. They use it on custom homes. What they do basically is they find out what it would cost to buy the land again. Let's say that's $250,000 for the land. Then they say this is a 5,000 square foot house.
Really need those list of buyers.
And builders today are charging different prices to reconstruct homes today. There's usually a low and a high. The appraiser will pick one of those figures, low, high, or somewhere in between, based on what the appraiser feels the quality is of the workmanship in the subject property. Let's say the subject property is great. It was built by one of the best builders in the area, top quality materials, good craftsmanship. Appraiser knows that builders in the area are building homes anywhere from $125 a square foot to $200 a square foot. He then will pick the 200 because this is the best of the best, this house, and he'll multiply it by the 5,000 square feet. He gets $1 million. 5,000. Apartment complexes, shopping centers, anything that provides an income. And he takes the income that comes in each month and multiplies it by a factor and comes up with a value for the property. That's called the income approach to value. The third one is the market data approach. That is the easiest one. It is the clearest cut. It is the one that the appraiser would like to use if he possibly can. And it's the one that we use as real estate agents, and the one that I'll be teaching you today, the market data approach. It's simply going to the multiple listing service and plugging in the area, like if it's Lakewood subdivision, putting in Lakewood subdivision, and pulling off everything that's sold recently in Lakewood subdivision. If it's Earth subdivision and it's the Venus model, we can actually pull Venus models and what they sold for recently. And that's the easiest, clearest cut route to evaluating property, and the one that appraisers will use every time if they can.
What? It's getting old.
First of all, we want to put the sold properties on there, anything that's sold recently, and Earth subdivision, Venus models. Secondly, any Venus models on the market right now, what are they listed for, and how do they compare to the subject property? We want sold properties on our price trend analysis, and we want the current listings on our price trend analysis, and any pending sales. Anything that has a contract on it, even if it's not yet closed, that's called a pending sale. And if we know about them, we want them listed. Now, we don't list the price. First of all, unless it's our pending sale, we wouldn't know the price. But even if we do, we don't disclose that because that's private. A seller up the street does not want people to know what the pending offer is in case it falls through. He doesn't want to give everybody a heads up as to what he accepted. Now, once it's closed, it's public knowledge. But you at least need to let them know that there is a pending sale out there in their neighborhood. And number 3, you want the expireds on there. So 3 categories of property: recently sold, currently listed, including pending sales, and the expired. Now, I have agents who say, well, I never discuss the expired. I just tell them what's currently on, what's recently been sold. No, we need to show them what's on the market, too, and the expired, and here's why. Look at the next category on page 14. What can each of these comparables tell the seller? First of all, the solds tell the seller, and write down these words: buyers willing to pay. What buyers are willing to pay. The sold tells people what buyers were willing to pay for a home like theirs, and if a new loan was gotten, it tells what an appraiser was willing to appraise it for and a lender willing to lend. Now, what about the current properties on the market? Number 2, write down the word competition. The current listings tell us what we're up against. If they look at ours, they're probably going to look at these and compare. And number 3, the expires. The reason you put the expires on there is that this tells what buyers are not willing to pay. What buyers are not willing to pay. These were homes that were rejected by the marketplace. They were on the market. They did not sell. It tells us what buyers are not willing to pay for a home in the neighborhood, a home like theirs. So if a home like theirs was listed at a certain price and it expired, that should tell us, don't do that. Now, where do we find the information? This is the easiest part of all, in your MLS. You really don't have to go beyond, unless it's a for sale by owner who sold the house themselves. Then you may have to go to tax records or, something like that, deed records, county records to find the information. But normally, it's just the MLS. On page 15, the comps that you're looking for need to be of like, size, and construction. Number 1, like, size, and construction. You want the home to be the same square footage. If it's a Venus model, you need to look for other Venus models. You're not going to compare the Venus to the Saturn. It's a total different layout, floor plan, square footage, everything's different about it. So like, size, and construction. Number 2, like amenities and condition. Some were amenities, some were condition. Number 3, same geographic proximity. And number 4, as recent as possible. As recent as possible. Go back 30 days. If you have enough to make a decision, make it. If you don't, go back 60 days. If you don't, go back 90 days. If you don't, go back 120 days, whatever. But remember, the further you go back, now you must appreciating in the area and allow for that. But you don't want to jump areas instead, because how do you know that an appraiser will do that? Usually they do not. And if they did, where would they go? Are you going to pick the same area? So you can't do that. You've got to stay within the same geographic proximity and as recent as possible. Now, next page, you do want to take into consideration extenuating circumstances. And what are extenuating circumstances? What is that? Well, let's say that you found 6 homes that have sold in the last 3 months in the area where you're trying to evaluate a property. 6 have sold recently. But the range of value is very great. Maybe it's 160 to 200,000. So how do you know where yours is? Is yours the 200,000 or is it the 160? Well, one thing you look at is things like condition, amenities. What are they saying about this property in the listing? Did they say totally renovated, brand new kitchen? Well, that's probably the $200,000 house, right? But what about those that didn't have that? So you need to look for extenuating circumstances. Another extenuating circumstance could be a house that looks exactly like yours, has the same amenities, but for some reason sold way higher than all the other 6 houses that sold, other 5 houses that sold. One sold way higher than everybody else. Try to find out why. Call the listing agent. See if you can get them to tell you why that happened. Maybe it was a situation where a person sold their home to their ex-husband at a very high price because they don't like their ex-husband anymore. Maybe someone sold their home at a very low price. You see, I might sell my home to my son at a very low price because I love my son. But that really should not affect everybody in the neighborhood, should it? So just by knowing extenuating circumstances, and sometimes or some example, I have someone who is considering trading a home for a home that I own. I mean, now her home is grossly overpriced, but she's holding firm she wants that amount. So I say, fine, I will trade, but I'm going to grossly overprice mine too.
I'm done. I quit. Are you still interested in, are you online with this?
I am, I think you can, just